Hello friends, good afternoon. Welcome to CEC-UGC live lectures. Dear friends, today's topic for discussion is rural development in India, and to take this topic we have our subject expert Professor R.B. Singh with us. Dr. Singh is Head Department of Geography, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. He is also the Vice President of International Geographical Union. Dear friends, I would like to tell you that in our last lecture with Dr. Singh, we had discussed about the rural development in international scenarios and their theories, practices and approaches. And today we will be discussing rural development in India through their strategies and practices. So without wasting much time, I would like to welcome Dr. Singh to our show and request him to begin his lecture. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Asmita ji. Dear viewers, today we are going to discuss rural development in India, strategy and practices. In last lecture, we tried our best to understand theories, various concepts, approaches relating to rural development. Rural India is a real India. Actually, somebody, our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji told that soul of India lives in rural India. We will try our best to see the various type of approaches, theories adopted by our policy makers for improving welfare of rural society. If you will see the history, earlier focus was on poverty, economic growth, poverty eradication, economic growth, modernization, and then development and growth through social mobilization. The history of rural development started with, after independence, when in 1950s we started a very ambitious program. It is known as community development program. Community development called for a comprehensive social and economic modernization. Economic and social backwardness was largely caused by several endogenous factors, and it was a vicious circles. So, population growth, poverty, lack of opportunity, these are interlinked. Besides social structure and pattern of behavior that inhibited progress, it was such economic barriers as a shortage of capital, the absence of modern sector, especially manufacturing industry, and the smallness of internal market that cause and sustain underdevelopment. So, initially in few 5-year plans, in the beginning, focus was given on economic growth. Various type of industrial development strategies were framed to break the vicious circle of underdevelopment and poverty. Both investment in the development and modern industries, economic growth and social change were required. So, critical points one can see in this integrated rural development, starting from the growth, and then we move towards the equity. I would like to put before you the different type of category of villages. As you know, we have particularly here I would like to mention about the growth of rural sectors. In census 2001, we had 638, almost 638,000 villages, which increased to in 2011 640,000 almost. So, increase was almost 2279. If you will see the distribution of total population by residence, you can see the total population, increase of rural population, and also the increase of urban population. In current years, we have more urban growth, but this such urban growth is not uniform all over the country. Many states are having the more urbanized, and still many states are not so urbanized. If you will see this population by rural urban residents, here the person, the total percentage, particularly here I would like to mention as per the 2011 census, rural area constitute 68.84% and urban areas 31.16%. I would like to take also the spatial distribution and top 3 states where the more share, we have a high share of rural population in the whole country. Uttar Pradesh constituting 18.6% of the total share, Bihar 11.1%, West Bengal 7.5%. So, these 3 northern states are occupying almost 35% of the total share. If you will come to the bottom of states, then Sikkim is very negligible 0.1%, Mizoram 0.1%, Goa all having less than 0.1%. Through this diagram, I would like to put before you the rural urban distribution and particularly history of rural urban distribution. 1901, you can see only India's urban population was 10.8. So, it was largely rural dominated 89.2%. When come to 1951, just after independence, then urban areas became 17.3% and rural area 82.7%. But in last census 2011, urban India constitute 31%, on the other hand rural India almost 69%. So, urbanization in our country increasing substantially and rural area, total rural population declining. I would like to now come to discuss various theories of rural development in our country. After analysis of the various rural development programs, one can identify 4 different type of theories. First, on the basis of coverage of the program. Second, on the basis of content. Third, on the basis of administrative content. Fourth, on the basis of spread effect of development. First, balance and unbalanced theory. Sector of economies are interdependent and complementary to each other in order to support development. As you know, when you will see this, the first 1952 this community development program was initiated. Main objective of this program was to achieve total development of material and human resources in rural areas. It covered all aspects of village life, including agriculture, health, education, rural industries, transport and communication, social welfare and welfare of the children. Immediate objective was for raising agricultural production. Agriculture is mainstay of Indian economy, and so that is why our policy makers started working on the agricultural development. Then most important program came integrated rural development program, like principles, main principle here I would like to highlight. The theory of unbalance means that resources in an economy are always limited. So, proper and effective utilization of limited resources, deliberate imbalances are created initially, which ultimately lead to balanced development through a process of complementarity, at later stage. So, that is why in this context I would like to mention about the Grow More Food campaign, that was started almost immediately after the independence. Main objective was to increase food production through development of minor irrigation, land reclamation, etc. Then another very important package program in 1960 came into existence, that is known as Intensive Agricultural District Program. A few districts were selected for promoting agricultural development, for promotion of agricultural development as a package program. Ford Foundation expert team recommended such program. Initially this was concentrated in a particular few selected districts. Benefit would and it is assumed that benefit would spread of neighboring area or the district, and so touched only a fringe of the total population as per evaluation and a study of the Thakurdas committee. Second important theory here I would like to mention about a structural and technological theory. A structural theory deals with socio-economic system and institutions like caste structure, customs and practices, along with tenurial rights, credit, marketing, institution, because these are explaining the extent of exploitation in our rural society. During the first two 5-year plans, greater emphasis was given on development, particularly taking the structural factors to bring out rural and agricultural development. Greater emphasis was placed on establishing an equitable society free from exploitation. From mid-60s up to the end of 70s, a structural theory became less important and emphasis was placed more on technological theories. And most important component of the structural theory were land reforms. So, many land reforms, sellings and credit and marketing structural adversely affected the this program, adversely affected the interests of richer section. So, law framed inadequately, executed defectively and interpreted defectively. While coming to technological theory, means suitable technology could not be developed to bring about desirable development and largely confined to mechanical technology, mechanization. But country like India, we have a high population growth and unemployed people. So, that is why the question were asked about the high rate of mechanization in our country. It is not very much suitable to the Indian situation, taking into consideration of the large unemployment exist in our society, and so that is why many people argued for selective mechanization in our country. After mid-60, it was largely biological technology and green revolution achieved, and it solved the problem of food shortage. And so that is why, but on the same time we recorded increased inter-regional and intra-regional variation in our rural society. Now coming to the third theory, it is known as centralized and decentralized theory. Centralized means decision making, formulation and administration of the program are done by central board or organization there is a very little scope for people to participate at a local level in the means whole decision making process. There is a little assessment of local resources and local needs and aspiration of local people. Even here I would like to give you example. In communist country, local level development programs are formulated and implemented in a centralized way. So, decentralization, opposite to centralization, decentralized theory came, and this is a more democratic. In a democratic society, the people's participation in the decision making process, formulation and implementation is encouraged. Proper assessment of local resources and needs is made through the Panchayati Raj programs. Here I would like to mention, after the 73rd and 74th amendment in our Indian constitution, many initiatives taken for decentralizing economic activity and decision making powers at a local level. Suitable institutions are built up through which people give vent to their feelings, opinion, participate in decision making process. At the panchayat level, many seats were reserved for the weaker section of society. Women's reservation is there. You can see the resource map of in one of the village, Devariya village. This is this such type of the map. Even in Kerala, you can find the panchayat level resource appraisal study for the whole state. Then I would like to come and explain about the percolation and polarization theory. Percolation theory presumes that the benefit of rural development do not remain concentrated in one place. The benefit trickle down or percolate to neighbouring areas. Polarization theory presumes that the benefit of rural development remain concentrated in the points where they originate. These growth points rather suck resources from the periphery and accentuate the regional imbalances in economic development. Percolation and polarization theories are very much akin to Mirdal spread effect and backwash effect. I would like to mention now, go little bit the history of after understanding the different type of the model, I would like to mention about the several programs. And it is very appropriate also to mention the many initiatives taken during pre-independent times. And pre-independent time, I would like to mention about the Sri Niketan project by Sri Rabindranath Tagore, 1914, Marthandam project, Dr. Spencer H., 1921, Gurgaon experiment, F.L. Bryan, 1928, Sarvodaya program of Sri Vinoba Bhaveji, 1948-49. So, these were the few important strategy adopted by individual, and but this has not become a mass level program. So, I would like to come to the post-independence period, and particularly the post-early independence, 1947 to 53. FRAC development, Madras government, Itawa pilot project, Albert Mayer, Nilokhari experiment of S.K. Day, community development program of Government of India, 1952, National Extension Service, Government of India, 1953, rural development efforts, rural development efforts and programs after the independence, 1948, the Grow More Food campaign that already we discussed, 50 Japanese method of paddy cultivation, 1952 community development, 53 National Extension Service, 1961 intensive agricultural district program which we discussed just now, 63 applied nutrition program, 64-65 integrated agricultural area program, 64 integrated cattle development program, 1965 national demonstration project. So, what you are getting here, that initially we tried our best to tackle some holistic perspective like a community development national extensive service, and then more focus was given on like a nutrition related program or agricultural development related program, paddy related cultivation, but ultimately the food security was very important initially. And so, but if you come to the almost the 66, 65, 66, 67, that time was the period for green revolution. But green revolution was also achieved only in a very selective area. So, wild seed development program, high yielding variety program, farmers training and education program, focus was also given from the training to farmers. Then you can find several initiative taken, particularly fourth 5-year plan. I would like to mention about the special areas program, and in this context you can find the dryland areas program, drought prone areas program, desert development program. Then the some particular sectors where section of the society were identified like a small farmer development agency, marginal farmers and agricultural laborers related, tribal areas development program. In case of his special area program, I would like to also mention about the hill area development program. But when coming to the almost 76, the first a comprehensive program came into existence. It is known as IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program, followed by social forestry, desert development, lab to land program, national agricultural research project, training for rural youth for self-employment, national rural employment program, district rural employment. In 1982, development of women and children in rural area, improvement of women and children came into existence, followed by national watershed development program 86-87, Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, one of the employment guarantee program in 1989. Then national water development project for rain-fed area, in our countries almost 68% of the area may be considered as a dry land, rain-fed area. So, a rain-fed initiative was taken. National Agricultural Technology Project was implemented 1998. Same year, National Agricultural Technology Management Agency was created, and finally 2005, National Agricultural Innovation Project came into. Now we are giving more focus on innovation and skilled development. But looking these all comprehensive program like IRDP, and then also the sectoral programs like agricultural, nutrition or welfare schemes like improvement of women, children and various sector of society, small farmers, marginal or agricultural laborers. Few shortcomings I would like to mention here. This includes the following. We found very lack of participation, non-sustainabilities were there, highly unsecure fiscal follow-up cost, parallel organization structure, inappropriate technology and limited impact on target groups, limited accessibility. Here I would like to mention about that transportation is a big problem. If you will ask me to identify the 2-3 important critical factors for rural development in our country, I would like to mention irrigation, transport, communication and power. These 4 are very important. Now you can see that how people are being transported. Tourist transportation is in very bad shape in our rural areas. Steel roads are not, no doubt, later stage of any important initiative taken. The housing and the construction of houses in the low-lying area, you can see this, the how in Brahmaputra Valley, these people are living with flood, and they adopt the local techniques, the banana tree for saving themselves from the flooding. So, from past experience, it can be said that the modification was required, and a very important point were also discussed that time, and here I would like to mention on the basis of the various researches, the initiative taken to assist the implementing agency to develop organization base in rural area, to promote self-help. The self-help groups are now working in different part of the country nowadays, strengthening the intermediate level between farmers and the government, decentralizing the administration, mobilizing local resources to develop financial resources for groups who have traditionally been ineligible to borrow from banks, to provide social safeguards against losses of income and such risks as disease, age, and loss of harvest and livestock. Then later stage it was realized that there was food crisis that time, and so widening the gap between the growth of food production and population growth. Population was increasing at a faster rate, and particularly in the Asian region and the South Asian perspective. Thus, supply oriented policies were needed to meet the challenges of Asian region, Mirdal particularly here I would like to quote. Then the village development program came. The ground for successful production orientation in agriculture had already been prepared in mid-century, just before the Green Revolution was achieved. But after reassessment of the role of agricultural sector, greater focus was given on the food production, promoting the policy involving extension services, research activity, improvement, and the several agricultural universities were established. Many agricultural research institutes were established in our country. So, development of agricultural credit systems and creation of incentives, because it was realized that we can develop any sectors by bringing incentives and disincentives in our society. So, agricultural growth through the Green Revolution was achieved in this our society. On the other hand, if you will take up the community development, under the community development focus was village and its traditional structure. So, under community development program, education was a very important, promotion of agricultural production, improvement of infrastructure, hygiene and health, comprehensive social change so as to eliminate the hunger, disease, ignorance. To start social change, community development had the village level workers taking the task, and they mobilized, explained, educated the all different type of the packaging available at the disposal of the government. But it was realized that the rural artisans, without looking the welfare of rural artisans, it is not possible to achieve rural development in our country. And so, rural artisan program also has become a big important instrument of rural industrialization. When I am using the word rural industrialization, this includes the following: welfare of artisans, like those who are involved in the woodwork or iron related work, or cobbler or variety of other type of the job like hair cutting or cleaning clothes and all. And then poultry and this. Second important point under the rural industrialization, I can consider like animal husbandry and poultry development. Third, a small scale village and corded industry, and then major industry like sugar. Maybe I would like to mention the one very important. But traditionally we have been using the traditional sources, fuel sources in our India. A lot of agricultural waste, the waste coming from the dry leaves or the by cutting tree, the people use for traditional fuel sources. So it was realized that we need the domestic fuel, because first energy crisis in our country was when we realized the shortage of petroleum. But in 1976, the second energy crisis came into existence when we realized the shortage of fuel wood for our domestic requirement. Community development gain initially in India, Africa or Latin America, it spread over 60 countries when it reached to peak in 1960 particularly. That time community development was a very, very important initiative taken all over the world, and they largely not successful in all part of the world because little delivery at a local level. So the main defect and demerits of the program was not a better delivery at a local level. But same time agricultural reforms came into existence, but did not change the power, neither did it alter the distribution of land in the villages. Land selling act exists, but still people adopted several different methods to keep the land in large quantity. And so the village level worker had to face the challenges in this context. You can see this how subsistence farming due to the small holding. So consolidation of holding was also adopted in some part, because it was realized that through consolidation of holding it is possible to disseminate innovation of technology, mechanization, and people can keep tractor or many other agricultural processing machines. Horticultural activity is another option for achieving the food security, and particularly in hilly area the horticultural activity was on forefront. But at the same time here I would like to mention that a social forestry initiative was also taken for planting tree along the canals, along the road, along railway line, and partially it can be considered as a successful program. This program is very important also because we have a large scale the unskilled people in our rural society, and particularly I would like to mention about the women. So they were involved for plantation and program. Now you can see here the availability of the food, spices, vegetables for nutrition, and their impact on the health was realized. And so many nutritional programs and all came into existence through the linking with the agricultural development. Then it was also realized that entrepreneurship development is very, very important. Here you can see the small initiative, how people they are doing the agro processing at a very local level, because it is realized that this may be this farm the key to rural development. Here I would like to mention about the disadvantages of the Green Revolution. I would like to tell you that the Green Revolution was achieved in Punjab, Haryana and part of Uttar Pradesh, but many disadvantages came. Only the large and medium sized farms benefited greatly, because small farms considerably lagged behind, with the result that the new technology further increased the social differentiation. And so, only people having the large land holdings, they are able to adopt the variety of irrigation packages, schemes, highly variety of seeds and inputs, fertilizers. It contributed to a differentiation of economic performance and intensified the social polarization, at a country level even, because this Green Revolution was only successful in a few selected area. The small farmers were put at the disadvantages primarily by unequal access to inputs, like power, electricity, irrigation and services like agricultural credits. Due to the typical land tenure system exists in our country. You can see these agricultural implements, and so that is why the another important argument came that time, that we should adopt the selective mechanization, so that more and more people should be employed in the agricultural sector. Target group oriented rural programs, I would like to remember the initiative taken by McNamara while addressing the World Bank Annual Conference in Nairobi in 1973. He mentioned that 40% of the world population are poor and live mostly in rural area, and hence rural development become a program and a strategy. Despite being explicitly geared to alleviating poverty, the World Bank rural development strategy from the beginning concentrated on people with productive assets and gave only a superficial benefit to the poorest of the poor, laborers and landless without productive assets. It is a very important, same time it was realized that it is very, very important to improve welfare of marginal groups, disadvantaged marginal groups, those who were not owning any type of the land, and so reduce the conflict between aim and reality. Promotion was concentrated on the poor who had access to land. This was a different dimension added to the rural development projects. It was also proposed that any agricultural project in which more than 50% of direct returns were to benefit poor target group was to be managed as a rural development programs. So, target group approach was initiated that time. So, we moved from a special areas program during 4th 5-year program, many now the more on the welfare schemes came into existence. But here I would like to mention that for the betterment of our rural sector, we have to give equal emphasis on productive systems like agriculture, rural industrialization, then second important point infrastructure development, and then third important point I would like to mention here the welfare schemes. But we have to give the equal emphasis of all. Anywhere the polarization, more welfare schemes, I think it will be very dangerous for our society. So, in the importance of area development projects also emerge. These projects have a regional bias as these increase the productivity of a small rural producer in a state, district or water catchment area where infrastructure and institutions are usually poorly developed. I quote, they represent the heart of rural development experience. Livestock economy continues to be the very, very important. Here I would like to mention that we have a largest population of livestock in our country, and these livestock are largely concentrated in rural areas. So, many income and employment generating activity may be created eliding these animal husbandry, poultry, fisheries and variety of other activity, mining, quarrying, development. You can see these few important initiatives in this photograph. Coming to the basic needs strategy, it encompasses the development of policy that provided sufficient essential goods and services, if necessary with direct government intervention to those living in absolute poverty. Actually, this basic needs strategy idea came from the international ILO, International Labour Organization. The standard list of the basic needs to be satisfied, including like a food, clean water, more specifically the drinking water, health, clothing, housing, education. In our country, like India, minimum needs program was initiated, and this policy should focus on both agricultural and rural areas where vast majority of the absolute poor live, and because the resource endowment of many poor countries indicate that agriculture can make the largest productive contribution to meet these needs. Minimum basic needs by development policy. Such measures came for direct contribution for satisfying the basic needs of the people. Development measures should be clearly aimed at the poor section of society. Measures to meet basic needs should be so designed that the poor contribute their own labor and productive efforts. Here I would like to give you 1-2 examples. Like primary schools. It was decided that how we can have the distribution of primary school or primary health center, health sub centers. A threshold of population was attached with these in different type of the services and facility, water, drinking water facility and all. So, the beneficiary should be appropriately involved in planning and implementation, so that they themselves determine their developments. So, they should become the important part of development process. But many disadvantages also were reported. I would like to mention few of them. It was realized that it is a social assistant approach which is not practical, since social policy cannot be financed indefinitely. So, it is a type of a welfare scheme, what I was just referring and I was mentioning. The approach relates to rural areas, and it is a new version of community development which has been unsuccessful during the 50s and 60s. The approach is bound to bounce back because the socio-economic structure and the political scenario will not allow a basic needs oriented development policy to be widely implemented. Many developing countries see it is an attempt by the old industrialized country to refuse the concession in international trade and the transfer of know-how and information they need, more specifically for improvement of the local area. It is very important to mention the little bit elaboration of the integrated rural development, which includes target group related, poverty oriented, basic needs oriented. This was considered a more comprehensive program because focusing on small farmers, so that to create a progressive farmer and to introduce the various type of agricultural innovation in our rural sectors. While coming to the poverty oriented rural development project for rural poor, focus was given on redistribution with growth. We realized that we achieved a lot, continuous agricultural growth, also little bit agricultural production, but it is not reaching to the all different region and different section of society. So, the slogan redistribution with growth or growth with justice came into existence, and for complementing the program in order to get the most desired benefit to the rural poor groups. Basic needs oriented rural development was much to mobilization of the really needy section of the population and the provision of such public services as health, hygiene, drinking water, education, transport and cultural institutions, so as to reduce the marginality of the poor. Various approaches include a multi-sectoral approach, productive and social sectors, oriented towards poor rural target groups like landless, farm workers, marginal farmers, women, handicapped, social mobilization and active involvement of beneficiaries. So, participation was encouraged. This IRDP has always suffered from the absence of conclusive answer to the questions like what and who should be integrated into rural development, for what purpose and how. Here I would like to mention that integration in rural development includes geographical level integration starting from village to the district level, then marginalized different type of the marginal groups means sectional integration, then sectoral integration. So, a spatial integration, sectional integration and sectoral integrations like agriculture, transport, industries. Traditional health practices also has become a very important part in our rural society. These local baths and home gardens have become a very important instrument for planting variety of herbal plants, so that people can get immediate benefit from such plantation. Service center, the growth, taking idea for the Perrock's model of growth pole strategy in a country like India, the service center have become a very important instrument for mobilizing rural resources, for creating innovation, for disseminating innovations. And so, during the 70s, the service center, central place theory all were very applicable. Many researches done in different part of the country, particularly in the poor and backward region, so that these market centers can mobilize rural resources for providing them maximum benefit. But our rural development story is incomplete if we will not mention about the very important ambitious program, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MNREGA. This important Guarantee Act of 2005, it was launched in 2nd February 2006. Rural communities have been given not just a development program, but also a regime of right of the people. National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005 guarantees 100 days employment in any one financial year to any rural household whose adult members are willing to do unskilled manual work. This work guarantee also serve other objectives like generating productive assets and skills, and so in this way one can boost the rural economy, protecting environment, empowering the rural women, reducing rural urban migration, fostering social equity among others. So, some extent through this Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee, we are able to provide some opportunity, local level opportunity to the people so that we can contain migration. The Act offers an opportunity to strengthen our democratic process by entrusting principal role to panchayat at all level in its implementation. So, panchayats become a very important. Through this diagram, I would like to present a state-wise percent allotted work under the Manrega. Now you can see the during the 2014-15, the West Bengal got the highest, I think, the share persons allotted work, followed by Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan. I would like to mention that also it depends upon the effectiveness and the governance, good governance of the states, and so that is why states having the more person allotted work, I think they are performing more better. You can see the participation of women in this, percent of participation of women, and Kerala recorded the highest, Pondicherry, Goa, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, these are the states having more women participating in this process. If you see the disadvantages and participation of SC and ST, then particularly the ST, in case of ST, you know, the northeastern states where the ST population is more, and then if you will come to the scheduled caste population, the Punjab recorded the highest, then Haryana. So, high participation rate of SC in Punjab, Haryana, and the Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Pondicherry. You can see the variety of activity adopted by the people. Many livelihood projects were initiated by the government for handicraft, promotion of handicrafts, for promotion of rural artisans. Such sector requires the proper training and assistance, continues to be the very important. River cruise, for promoting the tourism in river Brahmaputra. You can see that several government efforts to provide employment. I would like to put the one here, the case study of Himachal Pradesh, where the non-workers and then the marginal workers, main workers distribution, vocational guidance and employment counseling to the wealth, to the youth given, employment exchange for physically handicapped were created, 55 sub-employment exchanges were established, 2 University Employment Information and Guidance Bureau. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is another very important program for rural road connectivity. It is a very important component of rural development by promoting access to economic and social services and thereby generating increased agricultural income and productive employment. This is also ensuring the sustainable poverty reduction in our different part of the country. Still about 40% of the habitation in the country are not connected by all weather roads. So, this is a very important program. Through this it is possible to connect our villages through the urban area to the market session, so the innovation and more skill development can be promoted in the rural area. It is well known that even where connectivity has been provided, the roads constructed are of poor quality. These were some of the important defects and demerits. Indira Awas Yojana, this program of rural employment started in early 1980s. Main objective was to construction of houses for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, freed bonded laborers and also non-SC/ST rural poor below poverty line. The target group for houses under Indira Awas Yojana is people below poverty line living in rural area, mainly belonging to the depressed section of society. and a maximum of 40% of the total Indira Awas Yojana allocation during a financial year can be utilized for construction of dwelling units of the non-SC, ST or BPL category. But more emphasis was given on the depressed section of society. Now you can see this, the one case study here I would like to mention about how the different type of land usage in the panchayat level and the total population in these two panchayats, and they are trying to implement variety of livelihood project through government programs. This another two panchayats in Solan district in the adjacent to the Haryana, but in the hilly area, you know, water resource problem continues to be the very important in rural mountainous region. And so in the Rajasthan, you know, Indira Gandhi Canal was created, and now this canal, establishment of the canal brought a significant change in the soil characteristics, and the highest productivity of some of the crops were recorded in such, you know, area like a Ganganagar district. Even the cotton cultivation was started. But in dry areas, you know, it was realized that the people are migrating to the urban areas. They are not able to get the enough at a local level, opportunity level. So I would like to mention the Alwar district of Rajasthan, the Johars were created. The Tarun Bharat Sangh, one, you know, the community group, you know, started, built, they organize people, they deepening the already existing tanks, they are able to create the water potential in the area, they were able to check the monsoon water, and in this way they created the water potential, and the very substantial area were converted into the irrigated area, and people is getting property. Now you can see this, the increased forest cover in the Arauli mountain, Alwar. Here the another problem came into existence, like the agricultural spray related, you know, insecticide, pesticides, you know, problem in the not only in the groundwater but also in the surface water, and surface water people use even for the drinking purposes. So these polluted waters were very important for the any program to provide a clean drinking water to the people living in the rural area. Various human dimension for welfare approach here I would like to summarize in this context. Poor and vulnerable section of society was, you know, focused, right of the child, violence against women, gender nature of development, vulnerability assessment, socially deprived weaker section were selected, and finally sustainable development goals. Now you can see here through the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, so much disbursement and large number of entrepreneurs were benefited from this, you know, SC, ST and OBC created. Jan Dhan Yojana, Digital India, these are some of the programs. Many agencies are also helping our you know, rural development programs, CAPART, DRDA, NABARD, NGOs, and finally I would like to remember here the sustainable development goals passed by the, you know, United Nations General Assembly, focusing on people, prosperity, planet, peace and partnership. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for this lecture. Thank you, dear friends, for watching us. Thank you so much.